Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Indy Investor Pod. We are Indy investors talking Indy investing. So I'm particularly excited about this episode, not only because I have one of my favorite people, Ronnie Reese, joining me today, but we're also talking about tools that can help out any of the investors if you're investing here in Indianapolis, whether you're in state, out of state, just some little things that pop up that may be able to help you out. And with that, let's get on with the show. And welcome back to another Indy Investor Pod. Joining me today is my buddy, Ronnie Reese. How's it going, Ronnie?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
All right, Ronnie's singing for us. He's ready to go. So if you do not know Ronnie, this is Ronnie's first time being on the Indy Investor Pod, but Ronnie is our acquisitions guy. So I know you guys know Brett, you guys know Randy, as Randy is selling all of our properties, Ronnie is the manager on the other side. So he's the one that's managing all of our deals that we are buying, working with our other acquisition people. So he's kind of leading that part of the team and stuff. So he does an amazing job. But let's dive into this a little bit. Let's do a little get to know Ronnie before we dive into these tools and stuff. Ronnie, just give us a little kind of a brief summary of just like kind of who you are, how'd you ended up like kind of coming on the team with us, and how you got into real estate investing, man.
Gotcha. Happy to be here. Just to share my little bit of wisdom that I might have. But for me, I am married with 6 kids, as everyone knows about me. That's the guy with a bunch of kids. So I'm married with 6 kids. I have twin boys, a 2-year-old, 4 and 5-year-old, and some teenagers. Jesus. Just managing my family. But I love working with people. I've been in human services for over 13 years, working with families, just trying to help them reconnect and have a counseling background, also helping with our online campus church, just connecting people and things of that nature. But how I got into real estate investing is working in human and social services. You're like, man, I'm putting in a lot of work, but these ends aren't meeting. There is a mentor friend of mine in Charlotte, North Carolina, named David Roberts, who said, hey, download the Meetup app, get in a room with people that's doing real estate investing, and figure it out. And that's exactly what I did a little over 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. Downloaded the Meetup app and went to the Simple Wholesaling Meetup and met these great guys and said, man, I don't know what this is, but I need to be a part of this. I took that same background of talking and working with people, did a little trial with the team. I was like, hey, let's try it. And I talked to my wife, and she's like, you know what? We know what broke is. We already know what this regular 9 to 5 is. Let's just do something different to see what happens. Almost 3 years later, I'm saying God is really blessed. And I'm just excited to be able to talk with people, teach people, what we do in real estate investing.
So awesome. Like I said, yeah, Ronnie leads our acquisitions team. So really focusing on all those properties that we are buying. And if you are not a member of our, just kind of our Wholesaling Made Simple meetup, or there's a Wholesaling Made Simple Facebook group that we do a meetup as well. But there's a lot of great content on there. One of Ronnie's like gifts is being able to talk to motivated sellers, being able to have the patience and the reasoning and the skills to be able to do that. He is awesome at that. But we have a lot of content that revolves around that. So if you want to check out anything on our Facebook group, join the group, and you can definitely hear Ronnie and I doing some webinar Wednesdays, Ronnie doing some videos himself and things like that. So I think that's great. But one of the things that I wanted to bring Ronnie on here with today is the last couple, people that have been in town from out of state, and then even one person that I had lunch with last week on kind of that lives here in Indianapolis. The conversation always ended up kind of revolving around at some point of being, hey, I have this rental property and there is a property right beside it that it's empty. It's been vacant for, 5 months. I want to get in touch with the owner. I want to know who that is. I would love to buy that house too. How do I do that? How do you guys do that? So a lot of times that revolves around me, like basically, oh, I'll skip trace it for you. I'll run the acquisitions. I'll do that. I'll wholesale it too. I can do all that stuff. And I can even give you the lead, just like, hey, I'm a nice guy. I can help out. I probably should try to sell them, but that's beside the point. But anyway, there's 2 tools that we use each and every day that really help us out. And that's why I just wanted to kind of have Ronnie on here. He uses these tools along with me, along with the rest of the team, along with a lot of other people throughout the nation. That these are 2 tools that I think really help out a lot. But if you're in that spot and you're like, hey, I want to start, I'm buying from other wholesalers, or I'm sourcing my deals off the MLS. My agent's doing a great job. But, when I'm in Indy and I see some stuff, or sometimes I want to look around and try to run comps, or try to find properties that how do I figure out who that owner is? So these are two tools that might help you out with that. And they're fairly inexpensive on a monthly subscription. So these two tools are PropStream and Deal Machine. So two tools that we use each and every day. So just to kind of put that out there, and we'll talk about both of these, how Ronnie uses them, how we use them, things like that. So, but Deal Machine, so they have a couple different subscriptions that are pretty good. So the basic one is like $49 a month, and we can kind of run through what that does. Then there's like a professional one that's $99 a month, and then there's an enterprise one that's, I think it's like maybe $2,900, $2,500, somewhere around there. If you're actually running like a huge team and things like that. So there's some different things that parts to it, but realistically for that $49, that basic thing, it's really simple of what you're able to do, and get kind of your money's back for it for $50 a month. It's nothing for, even if you get a couple of deals off of it or be able to talk to a couple of people. So what Deal Machine started of, and actually, so my next podcast is actually with David Lecco. I'm recording that tomorrow morning. So that'll be the kind of the next episode that comes out. David's an investor here in Indianapolis. He has rental properties. He's flipped a house. He's done some stuff like that. But he's the creator of Deal Machine. So basically, he wanted to be an investor. He wanted to find some buy and holds. He would drive around and write down the addresses, and then a week would go by and he didn't look up on the county records of who those was. So he decided, like, oh man, I need a tool that will basically help me figure out who those people are right away, be able to call them and things like that. So that's when he created the Deal Machine app. So basically what it is, it's an advanced version of driving for dollars, but so much more. That's what it started off, but it's so much more. So what you're able to do through that, you can use it for driving for dollars here to locate houses. You can also do it virtually. So if you're sitting in Colorado right now and you want to drive the streets of Indianapolis through Google Maps and be able to use Deal Machine, you can do that. But really what it could help investors do right now, even beside the driving for dollars and having a team of people that are driving for you, it helps you're able to skip trace. You're able to do a corporate skip trace, which is really, really important. You can have deal finders on there. You can send mail from it. So you can do those types of things. So as we dig into Deal Machine first, then we can talk about a little PropStream stuff here later too. So Ronnie, I know you've been using Deal Machine for like 3 years now. So let's kind of talk into a little bit about, like, if you're using it as an actual, like, hey, I'm going to be an Indy, so I'm going to be, using it to drive for dollars and stuff like that. Let's start with there, and then let's progress to like kind of how we use it now and stuff. So starting off, how did you use Deal Machine as a tool for driving for dollars and helping you source properties and getting leads from it? Because I think our first year we got about maybe like 20 deals from Deal Machine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, most definitely. I love Deal Machine. Having a personal success story that it does work. The way that I've used it before, starting off, is I would drive different areas. I would see houses, and just like you mentioned, what's going on with this house. And so at the time, we would send mailers through that, because you could drive, take a picture of the house, and then you can send a mailer. You can kind of formulate how that looks. I don't know what you want to say on it. And then you can send them that mailer, and then you just kind of see what happens. And my first success with Deal Machine was that exact way. There was a house sitting in a nice neighborhood. Drove it. I was like, I said, man, this house has been sitting like this for 6 months. And so then finally, I was like, you know what? And I think it's actually when we first started using it. So let me just try it and see what happens. I pressed the button. 4 days later, I got a phone call, and I was like, oh, wait, this is that house that actually worked. And so I was sitting there just blown away. But took a little bit of time to kind of walk things down, but it was just a proof of concept that it worked. Driving for dollars, using Deal Machine app. Yeah, I'm just knowing what to click and make sure that you're actually looking at the property that you're in front of, because they have a different feature where you can, it get your GPS location down to the T. So just line it up and just press fire away and see what happens. But now they have features where you could skip trace and make the phone call right on the dot. Some sellers get a little freaked out by that, because, like, oh my God, you're stalking me. It's like, no, I'm just I'm just kind of here. But no, it works. I love the app.
Yeah. So I think a couple things with that. So, and, we're really talking about the skip trace too. I think it's, they just changed their pricing stuff. I think it's 17 cents for a skip trace, which is very, comparable and a great price for it to be able to do that. So if you have that property set beside you, can literally just like locate it within their, on the computer, within their app, then be able to skip trace it through that. That corporate skip tracing, what they just added, I think is a game changer.
That's a game changer.
That's a big thing. So all those properties that you might look up and they're owned by an LLC and stuff. I know we used to like kind of, there's a tool, there's a website that they'd be free that we use, like Open Corporate, that we're able to search for LLCs and stuff that way. But that way you kind of find the owner, and then I'd really honestly just like stalk them on Facebook and reach out through them through Messenger through that. So that's kind of the old way of kind of how I was doing it. Still have to do that sometimes, but having a corporate skip trace is really going to help out with that as well. So it's a tool that I said, like there's conversations I've had the last few times of just sitting down, having lunch and, or having a beer with an investor, and that kind of how that always pops up with like, man, there's this house that's sitting right beside this. How do I contact them? How do I do that? That's why I thought this would be a valuable episode on being able to just kind of let you guys know how we do it, each and every day. And I think this is a tool, like these are both affordable tools that you're able to use. So one of the pieces with, I think, Deal Machine that really helps out too, that's really helpful, is you can actually have deal finders and people driving for dollars for you, which is a big thing. So what we mean by that is basically, and we did this. So the first year that we had Deal Machine, we literally, like that summer for 3 months, we hired 3 college kids that were they needed summertime help. And we gave them $1 a property, and they drove all over Indianapolis adding properties. We gave them a criteria like, hey, we want properties that, the grass is overgrown, the shutters are falling off, there's mail overflowing in the mailbox, things like that. And basically we paid them $1 a property. Some of them, maybe one week they would go out and do like 100 properties and make $100. There's one guy that was going out and he's doing like 500 properties a week, and 500 properties. So we were able to build lists based off of the appearance of the houses and what appeared to be vacant, the for rent signs, like all those types of things. So we added properties like that. That's what is, that's having a team, having deal finders underneath you and stuff, which is a great way. If you are an out-of-state investor and wants, like, hey, I want to find properties in Debington, Indianapolis, and that's my area. I already have 2 rentals there, but I'm over the place. You can, put an ad out there on, Craigslist or Facebook or anything like that, and find somebody that will drive that area for you. And just add some properties that are your criteria. Hey, I want it to be, in this kind of shape or those types of things. So it's a really good way to kind of help out with that kind of stuff. Ronnie, from your standpoint of, when you're driving out there, and, when you're working with kind of the deal finders, I know you kind of did that for us, kind of leading those people. So what are some tips that you have for kind of helping those people out of like, hey, let's, if you do have a deal finder for working for you, or a couple or things, what are some tips that you can like provide for some investors that are in that position?
Definitely watch the app and make sure that they use the start driving trace feature, because then that way you can actually trace where your deal finders have been, where you're having in different areas, so that you can kind of go and maybe, rehash and comb over again. Because, that's something that can maybe kind of get confused if you're adding new people, things like that. It just helps you see macroly exactly what's going on. But then also too, it allows you to have these niche lists and niche little pockets, so like Brian mentioned, if you like Devington, or, there's a little thing in Stringtown, a special street that you want to just comb over, you can get right down in there, and just niche everything down. So, definitely use that, the start driving feature, just so you can track exactly where all your deal finders have been, and then just pay attention to exactly where you really want to, where you want to, be driving at. The other thing is, go ahead and, skip trace, call on the spot. I would definitely, advocate for that. The mailers and things, they are great, but, it's a very competitive time right now. You know what I'm saying? So I say do both and, you know what I'm saying? Call on the spot, and, also send that mailer just to get more touches in. It's really, really important to be able to get the properties that you want in the areas that you want to invest in.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Actually, I had that conversation yesterday. They were like, what do you do? Do you mail first or do you do this? Like, this is my opinion, and it is just my opinion, but I always call first. Your goal is to get them on the phone. So I always call first, see if you can get them on the phone, call a couple times, call a couple days. And if you don't hear anything back, send a text. If that way it's a little bit more immediate. So then if you can send a text, then you can also send a mailer. So I always just go call, text, mailer is kind of the way I do that. It's pretty cool through Deal Machine too. If you do want to do the mailers, if you're not hearing from people, you can set up a drip campaign to where basically you can have different mailers going out. Like you can send it every, 5 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, whatever it is. You can send out some different mailers, have those all set up. So it's a pretty cool feature and things you can do. Kind of going back to what Ronnie said too, just being able to watch where your deal finders go. So when they're doing that start stop thing, you're able to pay them by hour or by property, however you want to do it, because you can kind of track where they went, how many houses they did, how long they did it, those types of things. So it's really easy to track. Then one of the things too is that you don't even have to have a deal finder if you don't want to. You can actually
Right.
sit in your house and do the virtual driving for dollars. When me here, I'm in Indianapolis. I'm always like, Ronnie, don't sit at your computer and do the virtual thing. I want you out there driving. I want you figuring that out. But if you are in, if you, like I said, if you're sitting in Colorado, you can do that. It goes by the Google Street image. So you're able to kind of see, obviously some of them are out of date, but you're going to get an idea of, oh, hey, here's a street that there's some renovations going on over here on this street. So maybe I'm going to, virtually drive for dollars on this street, try to find a house. Or what are some other houses beside the properties that I own that maybe look like they're in the shape that I want to purchase and I want to buy and stuff. So, yeah, so that's great. So I will, let's kind of transition here. I'll come back to kind of both of them a little bit and kind of talk about, how Ronnie handles making that first phone call and some tips with that. But moving over to PropStream too. So PropStream is kind of it's similar in this, that you can use it kind of the exact same way. My thought was, hey, who are those people that you need to just skip trace, find out that information, locate those properties on a map, figure out where that address is, and then find out who those people are. So PropStream is kind of that same thing that's going to allow you to do that. You're able to skip trace through there. You're able to send mail through there. You're also being able to basically create lists through there as well. So all the different lists, if you want to come up with a list of 1,000 people that, are on the pre-foreclosure or the foreclosure list or anything like that. So you can build lists in there, which is pretty cool too. Also on PropStream, you're able to kind of get a lot of the details about the house, when it was sold last, who, the previous owners. And then you're also kind of able to look at comps on there as well. So what are other properties selling for in the area and things. So we're kind of new to PropStream. We've been using it for about 2 months now. We are an affiliate of both of these. So if you want to use the code SIMPLE, we like to keep things simple. So if you want to use the code SIMPLE on either of these, through Deal Machine, you get 30 free credits, which is basically having $30 to use within their system. With PropStream, you're basically, if you use the code SIMPLE, what you'll do is you'll have access to our landing page, which will have videos on there showing you guys how we use it and things like that. So I'll be honest, our landing page is not up and running yet. We're getting there. I'm working on it. I apologize for it. But you'll eventually, if you want to use the code SIMPLE, you can get on there and use that as well. It's $99 a month for PropStream, but for $100 a month, that's easy to be able to have the access to be able to do some of the stuff that you're able to do. So Ronnie, as we've just, we're getting into PropStream, we're getting more familiar with it. We've been using it for a couple of months now. What are your first impressions and just kind of things on, hey, this is a tool that we're using. I know you're doing skip tracing through there as well when you're out in the field. So what are your first thoughts on it, man?
I also like PropStream as well. They give information in a little bit different format. A lot more information is kind of like right in front of you, but so it makes it easy for you to kind of make decisions. I really do like the comp feature that it has on it as well. You can dial it down or dial it up depending on how far you want to go in and out. And also kind of let you know what things are kind of selling for, those averages. So it gives a lot of good information to make sound decisions. So we use it literally every day, just trying to see exactly what's going on. But that comp feature is really, really good. So I dial it because Indianapolis is so weird. I dial it. I think it's defaulted to go maybe like a mile or half a mile, but I dial it down to a quarter of a mile because the pockets of Indianapolis is so weird. But just even in doing that, it still gives great information. So you'll be able to kind of figure out, who you need to contact and, what the value of that property is.
Yeah. And I will say too, is that, so a lot of people ask us, how we analyze deals and things, and we're a brokerage as well. So, myself, Randy, Brett, we're all licensed, we're licensed brokers. Ronnie's an agent, or not an agent, sorry, an assistant under one of us. So that's how we have MLS access. So that's how we analyze all our deals. And, coming from the wholesale world and doing some education stuff, we want to be able to have a source. People say, hey, here's how we analyze deals. Here's other than the MLS, here's how we analyze deals. Here's something we can use. We found PropStream to be that thing that kind of helped us out the most. I love to poke holes in things. I love to find the faults in things because I'm always like, man, as a licensed broker, this is the best way for me to find comps. This is how I do it. I'm going to look at the MLS. But I'm gonna be honest with you. PropStream is pretty close. So the way that they do their comps, the way that they even kind of do their average comps and things like that, it's pretty close to what you're going to get from the MLS. I've been pretty impressed with it. I've been waiting to kind of poke holes in and things. I've been using it for 2 months now, but I like it. I think it's pretty good for that. So that's why I feel like it's a good tool for investors to be able to use, to be able to look at numbers, be able to kind of get an idea. Not everything's perfect. Even the MLS is going to have some flaws and kind of averages and things like that. Through their tool, I use Remine a lot through the MLS. That's always kind of my go-to tool with that stuff. All those things are going to have faults, but giving you an idea, giving you a good place to start and kind of have, hey, this is where I can go from there. I think that PropStream is a great way to kind of be able to do that. So these two tools of being able to, I think number one with Deal Machine and PropStream, being able to locate houses, be able to find the information on the owners. Honestly, I actually just, sorry, a little sidetrack, this squirrel, so I had to tell the story and stuff. But Ronnie, I sent you an address the other day. I was talking to an investor who was, has been on the show before, Nick Giuliani,
Yep.
an investor. He had it. He's like, hey, Brian, I own these properties. I want to figure out who owns this property over here. I want to be able to give them a call. He's like, I've tried to knock on their door. I can't get close because there's a dog there and that kind of stuff. So I said, hey, Ronnie, here's an address. Go and skip trace it. Use PropStream. You skip trace it. See what's going on. You skip traced it. The very first number that popped up was the number that got you to the owner and things like that. So
Yep.
Just in that situation, it's a scenario where, if you have access to this, you can do that specifically as you're in town, as you're out of town, whatever, to be able to find those addresses, be able to find those phone numbers, be able to call people, to be able to see what their interest level is in the house. So with that, that's just kind of the number one thing I think that investors that would listen to the show could use that for, other than kind of all the other cool features of being able to send mail and build teams and be able to look at comps and build lists and things like that. So Ronnie, let's kind of take that for itself, because I know this is one of your like top skills, and I really appreciate how you do this. When you're making that initial call, of what are some things that, like, those people pick up the phone and their first question is, how did you get my number? And those types of things come through. What are some, maybe your top 2 or 3 tips that you have for people when they're making that initial call to inquire about buying a property?
Be yourself. Number one, be yourself. People connect, sellers connect with other people. If you're sounding like your business or whatever it is, being too formal, it kind of throws people off. So usually when I'm, calling, I'm introducing myself. Hey, Sarah, if that's their first name, I'm using that first name just to really, my name is Ronnie. I'm just, kind of familiar with the area. I saw this property here, just wondering, kind of what's going on with it. And are you maybe interested in selling? So I'm super informal, almost unprofessional, like the exact opposite of it. Just to kind of get people, just to kind of get their guard down, connect. So that's my first thing is, obviously introduce yourself, but try to find a connection point as soon as possible. And then the other thing is, just, ask those prompting questions, to kind of listen to see where they're at, to see if they have a pain point. The person that I called before, that Brian sent me to, she's like, I don't want to sell my property at all, not interested, lose my number. Okay, great. So I understand that she does not have a pain point. But, there are other sellers where, it's almost like a cold call. You just, trying to figure out, is there a pain point? Are they looking to sell? What do they need to sell? And sometimes you can be kind of interested to see, what happens. The person that I called, through the Deal Machine app, I just said, hey, I've noticed some things going on with the property. The more you know about the property, they pay attention to. So you have to say, look at this property kind of vacant. What's going on with it? From that, she told me she moved to North Carolina, had cancer, got healed from cancer, wants to get rid of the property, but it's just emotional attachment. So you kind of had to walk her through those things. But those are my big tips. Just be yourself. Be knowledgeable about the property in the area, which you should be, because you're looking to invest your money here, and then just ask those open questions, just to kind of open-ended questions to see what type of information you can get out and find that connection point of commonality that you guys can problem solve together.
Yeah. And that whole point of, Ronnie being, honest and being himself, that's what you want to know. And like, make that connection point of like, hey, I have 2 rentals down by Rhodius Park right now. And I drove by and I saw your house, and that's why I'm calling you. I want to buy another property down there, just letting them know your intentions, let them know what's going on. I think it's really important. Now, kind of the second thing I want to do, kind of the big tip along with this too, is this is 100% of most of the, this is just something you need to do. This is talking to anybody across the nation. More than likely, you're not going to get that sale on the first time. They're not going to be like,
Right.
"Oh, yeah, I'll sell you my house tomorrow."
Right
So
now.
know that the deal is in the follow up. So that's why you have those phone numbers, so you can give them a call today, and then maybe a couple weeks later, or a month later, or you can shoot them a text later, or you can send them mail later, just to see kind of what that is, because you never know how you're going to catch them on each day. So there are so many times that hey, I'm interested in buying this property. They're not interested right now, but if I shoot them a text every now and then, if I give them a call every now and then, if I send them a couple of mailers to let them know, like, hey, this, I'm still interested in this house, things like this, you never know what that day comes along where they get that extra bill. Or they just, something happens in their life. They're like, oh, all of a sudden, yeah, I just got a job offer down in North Carolina. I'm moving down there next month and stuff. You never know what's going to happen. So if you like a property and you want to go after a property, you don't have to be super salesy. You don't have to be super like, pressury or anything like that. Just kind of let them know your intentions. Let them know that you're in place. If you ever, next year, if you're interested in selling this property, I would love to buy it from you. Those types of things, and being able to follow up with them is key. So, Ronnie, as we kind of wrap this up, talking about Deal Machine, talking about PropStream and how investors can use them, and how they can kind of give them the tools that might help them out and stuff like that. What are any last like words of wisdom you have along those lines of using those two tools?
Um, don't let the tech difficulties or that hurdle, prevent you from trying it. A lot of people are like, I don't want to download an app. I don't want to, but just literally get in there and just try it. Like apply yourself. You might open up PropStream like, man, this is kind of complicated. It just dig in there or call us for help so that we can kind of help walk you through it. I'm telling you, it's going to be a new sword to help you slice up and chop and get more deals. I'm telling you, just get in and just try it.
I love it. And they are apps. They are tech things. So there are little glitches that are going to happen. There's things that are, that are going to wrong, but don't let that sway you and things like that. So I think they're, like I said, I think they're good tools that can help out along, help you guys find the properties, do what you need to. If you need help with any of this stuff at all, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be more than happy to help you out. But if you are interested in each one of those, in either one of those, like I said, Deal Machine has a system for $49 or $99, depending on what level you want to be at. PropStream is $99 a month. And then if you want to use the code SIMPLE for either one of them, you'll be able to have access to some free credits through Deal Machine, or access to our landing page, which will have some videos on there to help you out, being able to use it, be able to navigate it, and things like that here shortly. So with that wraps up another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. Ronnie, thank you so much for joining me. And with that, we will see you guys next time. Take care.